All right. Hi, everybody. It's Jenny J, 1911, and I am here tonight with my very special guest, Trevor Cotter. Now, if you don't know who Trevor Cotter is, he shoots in USPSA open class. He shoots for the Atlas Gunworks shooting team, and he's a Texas boy, right, Trevor?
Yes, ma'am. Born and
Yeah.
raised.
Awesome. So he actually has accounts on Instagram and TikTok, right? Bangin'
Mm.
Brass.
Yeah.
So if you want to check him out, and he also has a podcast, Bangin' Brass. So it's a good time. Make sure you go check out his channel and see what he's doing, because he's doing a lot of really cool, fun things. Um, and I actually got to meet him in Houston at the NRA annual meeting, and that was really cool. We met on the third day, like toward the end of when we were there. We left around lunchtime, so it was right before we left. You were like really the last person we talked to before we left, Trevor. So that was a great way to end to end the weekend. So and now if you guys check out Atlas Gunworks page, it says that Trevor is like the fun loving guy, and if you see him out shooting, to make sure you come up and say hello. So is that true, Trevor? Are you the fun guy?
Yeah, I being a professional at anything, people expect you to take it super serious, and I do, when I'm
Right.
actually doing it, when I'm competing, extremely serious. But when I'm not shooting and I'm just standing there taping or walking around or whatever, I'm
Yeah.
here to have fun. This is my getaway. So I tend to goof off more than the average person. So
Well, now, okay, so I did a little Google search on you, Trevor. I'll admit, I did a little Google search, and it says that you were also a football player.
I was.
So what did you, we'll get started with the personal stuff first, and then we'll get to the we'll get to the real stuff people want to know. But you tell me about your football time in football.
Yeah, so played football from an early age. Grew up playing football, boxing, powerlifting. Those were kind of my getaways when I was younger. I was a pretty decent athlete. Did pretty well on the football field. Obviously didn't go to the NFL, but then again, who does? Very few people. I was a very accomplished powerlifter as well. Multiple state championships in powerlifting. Then once you finish college, you get to work, and then I kind of stumbled upon this shooting thing. Just
Wow.
fell
Yeah,
right into it.
that's what I wanted to know. I mean, really, okay, how old were you when you started shooting? What got you interested in it?
I was 24 or 5, 24
Wow.
or 25. I can't remember. But I've always loved guns. I grew up shooting guns. I grew up hunting every weekend. All through hunting season, I was missing school. My parents were taking me out to go on hunting trips. So I grew up an avid sportsman.
Yeah.
We always went to the range. So then when I was older, on my own, all I did was hang out with buddies and go to the range and shoot. So
Yeah.
one of my good friends I always went to the range with said, dude, we got to try out this shooting sports stuff. And he sent me some videos, and I watched it, and I was like, it looks intense. I just thought, like, I don't want to go embarrass myself,
Right.
I was a pretty well accomplished athlete growing up. So as an athlete, you're like, you never want to be the worst person.
Right.
So you kind of got to conquer that fear. And he talked me into it. I went with him. He had to leave before we even started shooting because he got called into work.
Oh my gosh.
So then it was just me again, and I'm like, oh man, this is my worst fear. But I shot my first match, just a USPSA local match, and fell in love. Was like, I'm terrible at this. I mean, it really showed me. I thought I was a good shot.
Yeah.
I grew up hunting. I grew up shooting. I went to the range every week. I thought I was a really good marksman, and it was very, very humbling when I was like, no, this is just like any other sport. There's levels to it.
Right.
And it just motivated me, and I had fun with it. I started doing it as a hobby, and then got good enough. I started winning some matches, and then next thing you know, people are approaching me to shoot and get paid to do it. I'm like, what?
That's
And
a
then,
thing.
yeah, I was like, you can do that? And, here we are 3 seasons later, and it's my
Wow.
job. So it's kind of surreal.
Yeah. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like I used to teach fifth grade, which was the last year of elementary school at the
Oh,
school
you're a
that I was
saint.
at. And we had a fifth grade graduation every year. And so one of the traditions of this graduation was that our students would tell us beforehand what they wanted to be when they grew up. And every year we had more kids say, I want to be a YouTuber. And I always thought, okay, kid. And then, well, now I'm eating my own words.
Yeah, for real, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
you never know, right? Like you just never know what opportunities life will present you. And, I would just had a conversation with my 18-year-old this afternoon about you have to just keep your mind open to everything. Absolutely, because you never know where life's journey will take you.
I know. I wish that I would have found this sport at a young age.
Hmm.
I'm old compared to, like, if you look at all the world and national champions, with the exception of a few, all of them started shooting at an extremely young age.
Hmm.
So I'm ancient compared to those when those guys started shooting, because they all started in their, some of them when they were in single digits, 8 and 9, and most of them found it as teenagers, and or their dad shot and they grew up on it.
Yeah.
Because I was having a discussion with Shane Coley. Shane Coley's a young guy, but he's been shooting for 20 years.
Oh my gosh.
And so me, as a guy who's only been doing this for 3 years, I've got to go try to compete with that guy.
Hmm.
And experience is a valuable thing. So
Right. Well, okay, so I hope you don't mind me asking, but do you get intimidated when you go to
oh
these matches?
yeah, uh, I did a lot at first. So
Yeah.
I still do, but I talk myself out of it. So playing sports at the levels that I did,
Hmm.
anytime I walked on a field, right, like beforehand, I'm like, oh my god, I'm nervous. Like
Yeah.
going into a state championship powerlifting match, or a big football game, or a big state title game or something. I was like, oh my god, like the nerves get to you. You throw up, you get sick to your stomach. But then I learned at a really young age, when I step onto that field, I have this switch. It's weird. Something clicks, and in my head, I'm better than everyone.
Yeah.
Not as a person, as a competitor, right? I don't think I'm better than everyone as a person, but I think in that sport, as what I'm doing right now, in my head, I'm the
Mhm.
best. Nobody can touch me, which
Yeah.
is not the case. Obviously, there's guys like Eric Graffel walking around who haven't lost a match since like 1999, right? But it kind of motivates me out of that headspace, because if you have fear when you're actually competing, it can be healthy, but it can also be extremely detrimental. It puts doubt, and doubt will destroy your game. So
Sure.
when I first started competing, I would be so, like, I would shoot with someone like JJ Rakaza, or shout out. I think I'm wearing his shirt. I am wearing his shirt. He's a friend of mine.
Shout out.
Yeah. So when I would shoot against someone like that, I would just have a terrible match. And the whole time I would watch him shoot, and in my head, I'm like, oh my God, he's so much better than me. Like, how am I going to compete with that? And blah, 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 blah. And now I look at those guys shoot, and I pick apart their weaknesses. Like, I notice what they do wrong, and I don't even see what they do good now. Like, I'm not even looking for that. Now I'm looking for their weaknesses.
Right.
But it takes time to develop that. But I still, to this day, like when I'm driving up to the range for a big match, like a nationals or an area match or something, I think I can attest that too. I'm still pretty new at this.
Hmm.
I imagine those guys who are 20 years into this don't feel that anymore, but I still, everybody, my buddy who travels with me all the time, Chase, he knows this, but I don't think I've ever said this publicly. This may be a first. I have a playlist of like very relaxing songs.
Oh, I
Like
thought you were gonna
very
say
like
pumped up music.
no, like
Oh wow.
relaxing, chill. Like because
Wow.
I'm such a jazzed up person already, you know.
Yeah.
I could never do drugs because I'm already just so, you know, I'd be a nut job. But I get so amped up and I just have to calm myself down. And if you ever see me on the range and I have headphones in and I just shot a bad stage, I'm not listening to heavy metal. I'm listening to like Enya or something, you
Oh wow.
know?
That's
So
pretty cool. A
yeah,
little
just
Celtic music and
yeah, just you know, just slow everything down and
oh
try to
wow.
take a chill pill because
Yeah,
it will mess with you hard. That doubt and that fear, people let
sure.
it creep into their head and they subconsciously let it beat them.
Right. Well, I've actually been started a video series on some local gun ranges, and one of the gun ranges closest to us has a good size skeet and trap range outdoors, plus an indoor pistol range, and they were actually set up by Winchester back in the 60s. So we've been out there for the last 4 days recording things. And last night we got to go see their skeet and trap youth league practicing. And they begin every practice with like a 15 or 20-minute meeting. They go over safety rules and stuff like that. And then one of their coaches gets up. I'm assuming this is a regular thing. Last night, one of their coaches got up and gave a little speech about discipline and how important discipline is. And so I'm imagining, Trevor, that your discipline from your previous sports experiences really actually helped you with this, with the focus and, not pulling that trigger too fast. That was kind of his message last night, was knowing the right time and waiting to pull the trigger. So, how does that translate your past sport experiences into your shooting sports?
It translates a lot. Anytime you do any type of sport at a medium to high level, you have to have some type of discipline, or you will not succeed at that sport. Right?
Yeah.
Pure talent will only get you so far.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the most talented athletes just fall on their face after a certain point because discipline has to be there in some capacity. You don't have to be the most disciplined person, but
Right.
you have to have some discipline to make it. Cut out. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
But you have to have some type of discipline. And I am a very obsessive person.
Mm-hmm.
When I start something, I have to finish it. I can't do something and then stop. My wife gets so annoyed with me. Like if even like a household chore, if I start cleaning the floors,
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, I'm going to sweep and then I'll come back after dinner and I'll mop. Like, no.
Right.
Sweep, mop to completion has to be done right away. Boom, boom, boom.
Wow.
So in sports, like for what I do, a lot of pulling a trigger and especially doing it how we do it, there's so much movement because our game, like when you look at skeet or trap or PRS or long range shooting, a lot of it is stationary trigger discipline, controlled breathing, sight alignment. But when you are putting so much movement into it, our game is about 85% movement, only 15% pulling the trigger. So you have to be able to practice all of that. And
Right.
in order to get really good at it and stay good at it, you got to keep practicing it. So I'm 6 days a week, 15 minutes when I wake up, I dry fire.
Mm-hmm.
I go to work. Well, I go to the gym, then I go to work. And then when I get off work, I go to the range 4 days a week, live fire, and then I get home and I dry fire before I go to bed. So I'm spending at least, with the exception of one day, and that day is when my wife goes, this is me time, nothing else. So I have, which that was actually my idea, I just have a full day to where I don't touch anything. I try to stay off social media. I don't go to the range. I just shit. It's her day off. My day off. We're just together, right?
Right.
But I really try to spend at least 30 minutes to an hour a day with a gun in my hand, pulling a trigger, whether putting rounds down range or dry firing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to be elite at any type of shooting sports, there has to be that type of discipline. I have yet to meet a person that I've seen people who got really good and they could even break into the top 30, top 20 at a national event and be a casual shooter who's just immersed in talent, right?
Yeah.
But I have never met someone who has won a big event or placed really well at nationals who isn't absolutely obsessed and disciplined in the sport.
Yeah.
So it's just like anything else, like any sport, you go swimming, right?
Right.
Golf, pick one. There has to be that discipline in order to succeed. You know, you think of the best athletes in the world in anything, there's some lazy in there here and there. You know, I catch myself slipping sometimes. I had to get on to myself this last couple days. I had some personal things come up and I didn't touch a gun for 2 days. I was like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
And it was actually my wife was like, hey, have you dry fired today? I'm like, I'm dry fired in 2 days. She's like, get in the room. I'm like, oh, all right.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So but that was ingrained in me from a young age, you know.
Right.
All the sports I played growing up from the time I was in short pants, you know, it's just how I grew up.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, you know, that lacks sometimes that's human, right? I mean, we all experience that. And I think that's, you know, that also you can use that to give you a more competitive edge when you come back from that and you think, okay, you know, I didn't like that moment. And so I'm going to use that to my advantage and, you know, keep that in mind and work a little bit harder. So
I take a small break at the end of each season. Usually I take 2 weeks, the last 2 seasons, but this just past season, I took 3 weeks, most of December, to where I didn't get on social media. I just cut all ties on social media.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up a gun. I didn't do anything. I mean, I catch myself here and there, like pulling up my videos and watching some of my videos, trying to critique myself. And I'm like, wait a minute, you told yourself to take a break. I took 3 weeks to kind of recharge, and because you get burned out. Everyone gets burned out. By the end of last season, I was toasted. Hands were beat up. You know, I was exhausted from traveling. I was mentally just over it. I had a bad end of the season. You know, I didn't place well at my last match. I was super upset. So I just recharged the batteries, came back, and I was like, okay, we're good. You know, just remotivated you all over again. So a break can be very healthy.
Yeah. And it's important to really be able to know yourself well enough to know that that's what you need. So, you know, I think that's also something everybody needs to keep in mind. I want to take a brief second to give a little shout out to one of my regular subscribers, Jeff, who just became my first member. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
I got to give him a little shout out there because it's not something I really am like pushing, you know, it's just, somebody said, oh yeah, you should, since you have that option, you should get it going. And I was like, nobody's going to do it, but Jeff did it.
Be surprised.
So
there you go, Jeff.
That's right. Way to go, Jeff. He's my A+ student. So I'm just going to tell you, Trevor, we have some very competitive people in this side chat. I have a couple of guys who always try to beat each other here and get the front row seat. And Jeff is one of them. Yep. See there, front row seat right there. So, yep. So it's always a little competition between these guys to see who gets that front row seat.
That's awesome.
I think Jeff gets the honorary front row seat tonight because he was, not only is he a member now, he's my first member. So, so yay. Okay. So I want to get over to the side chat and get to a couple of questions here. I always get, I don't know, a little sidetracked because I'm so intent on listening to what's happening on the screen in front of me.
I do the same thing.
Yeah, I want to give a little shout out. I kind of like to always see who's on because I have so many regulars that are just the most devout people you'll ever meet in your life, Trevor. They are on every single Tuesday. And when I do my Friday night date night, they're on. I mean, they are always here. So, Affordable Armory, great to see you. Stephen Hall is here. Hello, it's me. Reese is here. Reese actually came to NRA and met me in Houston, Trevor. So that was really cool.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, Wiley Thompson is here. Ethan Rockefeller, that's a newer name to me. Michael Alsup is here. He's one of my regulars. Tim Rink, Brian's Custom Canvas. Brian's Custom Canvas, Trevor, is somebody that just custom made a holster for my Hellcat Pro and sent it to me. A leather holster. It is gorgeous. So you'll have to check out the video of that because I just posted that yesterday.
Yeah, I have to check that out. Leatherwork is gorgeous, man. When somebody knows how to do that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The stitching is amazing. It's just, it is so phenomenal. I almost took it to bed and put it next to my pillow last night. It's so pretty. So
I do that sometimes with these.
What does your wife say about that?
Oh, she understands. She does the same thing with some of her stuff. Like she has some F1 rifles that are all tricked out, and every now and again she's like,
"Yeah,
take this
exactly."
with me. All right.
Yeah. So let's see. Stephen Sheets, good to see you. Welcome. And Mark Thomas is here. Good to see you. Let's see. It looks like I've got through. Bending Ballistics is here. He's a regular. Good to see you. So I just saw a question from Affordable Armory that he wants to ask you, Trevor. What would be your advice for someone new to the sport wanting to try their first match? What gear to bring, rules to know, what to expect, etc.?
I would say as far as what to bring, whatever you have. I mean, it's simple. Have a holster, have, at least 4 mag pouches that are the best thing to do is get belt loop ones to start, right? Everyone wants to go buy a fancy shooting belt and all that, but I always tell people don't load up before you start shooting because you don't know what you're actually going to like or need until you start the sport.
Right.
I see so many people who are like, oh, I'm going to do this. And then they go spend $400 on a holster and belt setup. And then they go spend another $3,000 on a tricked out gun and do all this stuff. And then they don't end up liking any of it, So I would just say bring what you have, bring a couple hundred rounds, 4 mag pouches, and whatever holster you have and whatever gun you have, and figure out what division it fits in and just go shoot.
Yeah.
As far as rules, 180 degrees up and down. Don't point your barrel backwards or backwards up and down. Keep your finger off the trigger unless you're shooting something, and don't shoot anybody. That's pretty much the easiest ones to know. There's a bunch of rules, but they'll explain it all to you when you get there. When you get there, they're going to ask you, they're going to do a safety brief. Okay, do we have any new shooters? Yes. They won't single you out there. Like, okay, cool. And then they'll finish. And then at the end, they'll pull you aside and just say, hey, this, and this. Watch out for it. And then most of the time, you're going to have an RO with you, and they're going to kind of walk you through everything. It's very easy. It's very simple. You just show up. I mean, really, like my first match, I showed up. I didn't even know. I signed up for a division my gun didn't even fit in. Like, I didn't have enough mags. I didn't have enough mag pouches. I wasn't wearing the right shoes. Like, I was.
Wow.
Right? Like, we were shooting on rocks, and I have like tennis shoes on,
Yeah.
So,
oh my God.
But I had so much fun, and the people are nice. They're going to walk you through it. I always tell people, like, don't overthink it. Mm-hmm. Just go. I mean, you'll figure it out. I mean, and you can go on USPSA's website or IPSC or IDPA, whatever you want to try to shoot. You can go on their website, and they'll have like a new shooter introduction, just some things you need to know. I didn't know that existed when I first went. So I just was like, oh, cool. And I showed up. Here's my $15.
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, your first match is free. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even need this. Cool. Yeah. Like it's fun. Just go do it. Just go enjoy it. And don't just leave your ego at home. Yeah. Everyone nobody who shows up for the first match is really good.
Right.
Like you're going to see people there who you think, like, in your head, you're like, oh my God. But the longer you do it, you're going to see that they're an average competitor, right? You're just new. Anyone who's new to anything thinks somebody who's been doing it a while is fantastic at it.
Yeah.
So just go have fun. Don't pay attention to anybody else.
Now, when you went to your first match, did you find yourself, see, here's how I'm envisioning it playing out for me, because I have toyed with the idea of trying comp shooting, but I just envision myself being so slow because I'm like, okay, where do I need to go again? Like, just constantly asking, just needing that reassurance. What am I supposed to shoot next? I mean, did you find yourself doing that at all?
Yeah.
Be more confident than I feel I would be.
No. My first match, I'll post the footage of my first match.
Oh, really?
On my Instagram, if people want to see it, they
I
can
was
go
gonna say,
check it
we
out
all
after
need to
this.
go check that out.
Yeah. I've got a couple videos from my first match because I video
Wow.
everything. I'm just that type of person, you know?
Yeah.
And I have no clue. I mean, I will just tell you, pay attention to what everyone else is doing as
Yeah.
far as like how they're setting up their stage plan, and then ask questions. The people are so nice. You'll run across assholes anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
But the main people are so nice. So just walk up. Hey, what do I need to do here? What do you think? How should I do X, Y, and Z? And they'll walk you through all of it.
Yeah.
It's super simple.
So if you didn't shoot this, what else would you shoot? Like, what competition shooting would you do if you weren't doing USPSA?
I'm not going to cheat and say IPSC, which is just the international version of USPSA.
Has to be something different, Trevor.
Yeah. I love shooting long range for fun.
Really?
Like, yeah, I do it for fun a lot. My wife loves it. My wife is better at it than I am, surprisingly.
I don't know. That's probably not really that surprising, is it?
Yeah, she doesn't like, she likes shooting pistols and she likes shooting rifles, but I have some really awesome long range guns that I bought her. You know, some PRS setups. And the first time she understood exactly how to dial in, you know, all of her dope and everything, and understand all of the math behind it and how to pull the trigger and how to do it. Once she like got it, she got it way faster than I did. So like, the other day we were out at the range, and I say the other day, it's like a year ago. It's when she first like got really good at it. And there's a 1-inch plate at 900 meters, which is a long way. And I didn't even know that thing was down there.
Yeah.
I'm not even paying attention to it because you have a bunch of plates at 900 meters and they're varying sizes, right? So we'll walk them down. And I knew I thought it was the leather strap that somebody had shot the target off of. But she was like, oh, I'm going to shoot this one. And I'm like, what? He sets up, pow, smacks it. And I'm like, hold on. You just shot a leather strap. And she's like, no, there's a target down there. And I'm looking, she's shooting. I'm not. I'm looking through a spotting scope. The glass on her rifle is way better than that spotting scope. So she could see it, right? I couldn't see it. So I look through her rifle and I'm like, how big is that? And we drive down there, and it might have been a 2-inch plate, but it's like this big at 900 meters.
Gosh.
And I was thinking to myself, I could never cheat on this woman. Because
find me.
I wouldn't be able to run away.
Yeah.
I could get a 900 meter head start, and she's still gonna get me.
Oh,
you know? So it's like, hey, but
well, that's kind of your fault, right, Trevor?
Yeah, it is. But but I love precision rifle. I think there's such an art to it. There's such a beauty to that game of how perfect you have to have everything to make such a strategic shot.
Right.
And I really enjoy that. I haven't done it as a competitor because I'm more in love with USPSA style shooting. Yeah. But if tomorrow somebody was like, you can't do this anymore, I'd be like, I'm going to PRS. And then
wow.
dip out over there.
See, I would have pegged you as like cowboy action shooter or something. I mean,
I like the idea of cowboy action shooting,
yeah,
but I love like modern guns.
yeah,
I don't revolvers and stuff don't really do it for me. I'm weird. Like I don't know any. I'm from Texas.
yeah.
I grew up hunting with, lever action 30-30s, hog hunting, and deer hunt. I have a pump action 270. Like I've got some old school guns, but they're all family stuff. But if I
Right.
bought it, I'm just not a revolver type guy. I love
Yeah.
cool stuff. Like I like gold and stuff like that
Stop
looks
showing
crazy.
that,
Oh,
Trevor.
am I not allowed to?
No,
Oh, it's
it'll get
YouTube. Oh
yeah,
crap.
it's YouTube.
Okay.
We'll get shut down.
Oh, my bad. My bad. I'm not used to YouTube. No, but yeah, I will I feel bad now.
We'll just hope nobody sees that.
Yeah, nobody will pay attention to it.
Yeah.
But
It's
I
deep
just
in the video.
yeah, I like modern stuff. I don't know why. I've always I think it's really cool when they do the double barrel side by side. The way they reload that.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Oh, and as fast as they are with those lever actions, and then the revolvers are insane. I
I
don't
know.
get how they shoot those revolvers that fast. So it's
See,
really cool.
I tried doing that fanning technique one time. I actually have a video of it. It's probably I should probably post it as a blooper reel sometime because it's pretty funny because you're holding the trigger back and you're trying to fan and you're just like, I mean, it's hard.
I don't see how they're so accurate doing that.
I don't either. I really don't because I mean, you have to have time to reset a little bit and yeah, they're just I don't know. I mean, it's intriguing. I also like watching the quick draw.
That stuff's really cool.
It's wild. But I don't know. I'm kind of drawn to like the clothes that they get to wear too.
They make up like a whole persona.
Yes.
Have you noticed that?
Yep.
I had no idea because my buddy who I told you got me into this,
yeah,
he does some of that.
Really?
And he's tried to get me to go do it. And he's got like a Western name,
Uh-huh.
He's got like the name and the get up. And
yeah,
I was like, y'all go all out for this.
Right, exactly. Well, and we watched a video one time on YouTube and they said that most of the time they don't know each other's real names. They only know their Western names or their cowgirl names. They said they really don't know each other's real names, their jobs in real life.
Could
they
you
just
imagine if you saw that person like out somewhere with their family? You're like, Scooter McGruber, what's up, dude? And his
Exactly.
wife's like, Bill, who is that?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and by the way, my stagehand who you met in Houston, he just told me how we should let the audience know that those props that you were just holding up, they're really just airsoft guns.
Yeah.
That we're just showing these prop guns that they're just
well, they're not even props. They're just airsoft props. Right. That's all they are.
Yeah, exactly. So
they don't look real.
No, they don't. They look like toys.
Yeah, they are toys.
They really essentially are. So
yeah. But this one's not. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Trevor, that's it.
She's like, delete, block.
You just wait. Sometime I'm gonna make you have me on your show, and you just wait and see.
Oh, see, I do mine.
Paybacks.
I do mine on Instagram, and
no
rules, man, no rules.
Well, I've been posting a lot of things on TikTok in the last few days that I keep thinking.
The worst.
I know they are, and I keep thinking this one's gonna get me booted because TikTok went through a really, I don't know, a big moment where they kept putting me in timeout. Like every couple of days, they put me in timeout, and they kept sending me messages saying, "This is your last warning. We're not letting you reactivate your account after this." Well, I think my longest wait was like 2 or 3 weeks before they let me back on, and then they let me back on, and so I'm like, okay, but I don't care. Like if TikTok ever says, okay, that's it, we really are done, I'll be like, okay. I mean,
I got demonetized.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm. My TikTok got demonetized. So I I had a
Wow.
stretch there. I got a TikTok, and within
Uh-huh.
4 months, got up to like 25,000 followers or 24,000 followers.
Oh my
I
gosh.
had I had like 5 or 6 videos that had well over millions of views,
Jeez.
hundreds of thousands of
Wow.
likes. So within a week, I got monetization of
Yeah.
having within a week of having my TikTok, they monetized me to where I was getting paid for views.
Right.
I made a lot of money off TikTok. And then
Wow.
all of a sudden, one day, and I know what it was. I know what it was because they didn't care about my firearm related content.
Oh, geez.
One day, I posted one political thing.
Oh,
One. I posted one, and since then, you can see it in my video views. If you go through my feed, it's
uh,
like hundreds of thousands, millions of views to like 40.
nothing. Yep.
I
Hmm.
have 25, almost 26,000 followers. I post a video, it gets 400 views.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Yeah. So,
that ratio doesn't work out,
yeah.
does it?
So, and I was like, what happened? And then I got the notification, you've been demonetized.
Oh
And
my
I
gosh.
had a lot of money sitting in my creator fund because you can only draw it out once a month. So my whole monthly creator fund was in there. It was like thousands and thousands of dollars.
Oh
And
my
when I got
god.
demonetized, I lost rights to it. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah,
Well,
TikTok
I
and me have a rough relationship.
I know. I just at this point I just laugh about it. At first, I took it personally and I was like, but how can they do that to me? I'm a nice person." But then I
Yeah.
realized, no. They just don't know. They see something and they just, are quick to just cut it off,
Yeah.
whatever. So okay, I want to know because part of the focus on this channel is reloading. You shoot a lot, Trevor.
Hmm.
Do you reload?
I do
Okay,
a
and
lot.
yeah, I was gonna say, all right. And so tell us what press do you use? What do you? I'm assuming you reload nines mostly.
Mostly 9 millimeter major
Uh huh.
for matches, and then I shoot a lot of 9 minor. So yeah, I shoot some 42 and some 223, but I don't
Yeah.
load the 223. I don't
Yeah.
mess with that. I just buy it. Right. But the 40 and the 9, I load a tremendous amount. I loaded 125,000 rounds of 9 mil last year, mixed in
Wow.
between 9 minor and 9 major.
Mm-hmm.
I used Dylan 1050, a Super 1050 on a Mark 7 base.
Oh,
So
cool.
I automated my 1050. I
Yeah.
got real sick of pulling that handle as many times as I was. It took up so much of my time.
Yeah.
And now I'm to the point where it takes up so much of my time that I'm actually in the process of getting a Mark 7 Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
So that way
Yeah.
I can legitimately just push a button and
Yeah.
like go do something.
Yeah. Did you play with that down in Houston?
I did. Well, yeah, I've been playing with one of those for a while. So those guys are. I know all the Mark 7 guys. They've
Right.
been pretty good friends of mine. So
Yeah.
we've been talking about doing a partnership for a while, but
Uh-huh.
it just hasn't come to fruition with them getting bought by Lyman, and now Lyman took over, and some of the new guys at Mark 7 I had to develop some relationships with. So now at NRA, it was finally like, okay, man, you want to press? Let's get it rocking.
Yeah.
So I will have that, and that will be my preferred method of reloading because then that will allow me to load about 3,500 rounds an hour,
Right.
and I can crank out, my month worth of ammo in 2-3 hours.
Right. Yeah. I don't shoot that much yet, so I don't need one quite that elaborate or extreme, but they were a lot of fun to see down in Houston.
They're awesome.
We did a little, video on that for our day 2 highlights, and it was really cool to I don't know, get to play with those and see those run a little bit. So, now does your wife reload with you at all?
Oh no.
No.
Oh no.
Not in her wheelhouse, huh?
She
No.
likes the pulling the trigger part. She does not like
Yeah.
anything else.
Really? See,
Yeah.
I love reloading. I mean, my husband and I, we come down and we do it, and one of us stands and, pulls the handle, and the other one checks with the case gauge and the calipers, and, puts them in the boxes, and we just chat. I mean, it's a great for us. it's a very relaxing end of our day usually. So we enjoy doing it. And I don't know, it seems like we run out of components before we run out of energy to reload. So
That'll happen. That will
yeah,
happen.
yeah.
But
Well, and
you're a trooper. I can. She'll come in there like if she's bored or something, and
yeah,
she's like, oh, she'll come in there and she'll just be like, all right, let's just hang out while you're reloading. But the machine is loud.
yeah,
And I'm in the garage and it echoes, and I'm like doing 50 things at once trying to keep up with all the components. And so she's
yeah.
talking and I'm like, yeah, and she's like, are you listening? And I'm like, totally. And she's like, what I
Sure,
just say?
yeah,
I'm like, I have no clue. And I'm just
yeah.
like filling up the powder measure or something. So she's like,
Oh,
I'm gonna go in here and do some work.
yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's
I'll go
fine.
read a book.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I know it's I just wasn't sure. That really was kind of one of the things that started this whole channel was the reloading and people asking questions about it and kind of arguing about if it was cost effective or not. And
Very much cost effective depending on how much you shoot.
yeah, well, and I think even really honestly, even if you don't shoot, I mean, we'll shoot maybe 500 rounds a week or so. And I mean, even then, it really depends a lot on your caliber too. We load 38 specials a lot. And to buy a box of like 50 of those at the store, it's going to cost about $60. And I think we reload them. I forget what the breakdown was, but I feel it was like 20 cents a round or something. So, I mean, it's
You're saving a lot of money.
Yeah. It's plus, let's think about gas prices right now. I don't want to drive to the store and look for ammo that's not going to be there anyway.
And pay a lot of money for it, first off.
And then pay a lot of money for it if it is there. So, yeah.
Reloading, there's a lot of variables to it as far as cost effectiveness. It depends on how much you get into it for. Like if you buy, a 750 or a 550 and you get into it for less than $1,000, then you're going to pay that off. I forget the math on it, but you're going to pay it off. If you shoot, 6,000 rounds in a year, after 2 years, you've paid it off.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So if, for me, it has to be a lot. My machine is it was more expensive,
Right.
The 1050 with the Mark 7 and all the components and everything else to make the press do what I wanted to do was closer to $5,000. So, but I shoot, 130, 150,000 rounds in a year. So my press is paid off in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now the new one, like 12, so it pays itself off in 2 years, 3 years, so it all, or probably less than that as much as I shoot, but it just depends.
Right. Well, and for some of us that actually just enjoy doing it as a hobby itself, it's definitely worth it. I like knowing that at the end of the day, when I go out and shoot, I'm shooting my own creation. It's just really cool. Plus, it's kind of nice that nobody knows exactly what we have stored up. I mean, there's just no way of anybody knowing.
My neighbor does.
Your neighbor knows.
My neighbor sees the pallets.
Yeah.
One day I had a pallet of powder delivered. It's a pallet.
Yeah.
And they just drop it in front of my garage door while I'm at work. Nobody signed for it. They were just like, this guy's fine. Just dropped it, right?
Oh,
it's got all the explosive tags all over it. So my next door neighbor is like, hey man, we have to have a serious conversation. And I'm like, whatever do you mean?
Yeah. What are you talking about?
And he's like, I would like to know why a pallet of explosives was delivered to your garage door. And we hadn't had the conversation that my neighbors at my old house had. My neighbors at my old house knew what I did, because we just moved in February of last year to this house.
Oh, wow.
My old neighbors knew what I did, who I was. They would come over and hang out and drink beer while I was reloading, like they were cool with it. And and then my other neighbors loved the fact that I was a shooter. It was 2 females lived together.
Uh-huh.
Do the math on that. They were really nice people, super nice people, loved him to death. So they were like, hey, our neighbor, if something happens, hopefully he'll take care of us,
Right.
which
Yeah.
joke's on them. I'm staying right in my house.
Yeah.
But
Unless I have a turret that I can
yeah.
aim
But
from.
but this neighbor was like, what's going on? And then I had to explain it to him. And he's like, well, is it safe? And I'm like, yes, it's fine.
Yeah.
We're all
Yeah.
good. Now, there is a lot, right?
Right.
So if
Right.
something did happen, my house would not be okay, but yours would probably be fine.
Right. Exactly. Well, so we have a lot of people who are on the fence actually in our chat, even a lot of my subscribers that are just on the fence about reloading. And Jeff, my new member Jeff, he said he's getting closer and closer to reloading. Vanessa Kitty says reloading is the best. I would agree with that.
It's
Reese,
very,
yeah,
very soothing.
it is. It really is. And, it's just because you're focused on that one thing and you're just the repetitive motion. I think it is relaxing. Reese says that he has all the necessary components. Now it's time to buy a press. So I guess if we run out of components, we're going to have to go knock on Reese's door, and he doesn't have a press yet. So now, Trevor, I will tell you that last week, we were actually during one of my lives. Sometimes I just do solo lives. And so last week we were talking about a business venture with my subscribers. We decided we'd do a rent-a-press. And so we could make like a Frankenstein press and like put all the best pieces of our presses together. And then we could let people come in and just rent the press out to make their ammo. So we were like, so Trevor, if you want to join in on our business venture.
Well, I can make about $3,500 an hour, so I could probably keep up with all your needs.
There you go. Woo!
I do that for some people already. I have some local shooters who don't have presses and they're new to the sport, and they're just like, hey man, if I get the components, will you? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
I had to use those people recently. So my 1050 went down.
Oh wow.
Midway last year.
Oh wow.
So halfway through the season, my press just and it was the tiniest little piece that nobody would have caught that caused all the issues.
What was it?
It was the hold down nut on the tool head. So as the tool head was going down and receiving pressure, it was torquing.
Yeah.
And because it had the stock Dillon nut on it, well, when you automate these presses, they're not made to be automated because you're supposed to be able to feel everything. Well,
right.
This thing's like going to chew through whatever. Doesn't matter what's on that press. It's just going to keep on cranking because it's a big electric motor. It's go. Right. So that little piece just threw everything out of whack. It just eventually went out of spec, and I'd loaded a couple 100,000 rounds on it, so I'm sure the 1050s aren't made for commercialization. So I probably am getting to the end of its life, but my press was down and still is at a guy who repairs all of our presses in Houston. Mm-hmm. It's fixed. But it's sitting at his house until my new one gets here. But I had to have my buddy in San Antonio, who I trust, who's 2 hours away, to load all my match ammo. I had to load up all my components, drive 2.5 hours, and go, here you go, buddy. I trust you. Please don't screw me over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because we're loading 9mm major, right? So there's not a lot of room for error there. Too hot, gun goes boom. Too low, don't make major. So you're riding a fine line. So, but my practice ammo, there's a guy in Houston who you send him all your components and he'll load them for you. And if he likes you, he won't charge you. If he doesn't, he's going to charge you.
Yeah.
So he's been loading all my practice ammo. So, I mean, that does exist.
Yeah. Or rent a loader instead of a press.
Yeah, right. I just rent the whole person.
Yeah. I hear a new business calling my name.
Yeah, but no, that would be cool if you had like a group of people and you just had a press, you just drop ship to them. Just said, here, rent a press.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we were kind of thinking, have a universal party space. We could all just kind of sit around and crank out the rounds and, chat,
party.
Have a party and a good time. And well, you have to miss running your press, Trevor. I mean, your wife might not miss it so much.
She doesn't miss it at all.
She probably gets to see you a little more instead of the back of your head.
That's how I sold her on the automation originally. I had the 1050, and it would take me with the 1050 hand loading. I got to where I could load about 800 to 1,000 rounds in an hour, which is pretty efficient.
Yeah.
But I shoot so much.
Right.
That's 125 hours out of the year.
Right.
So it will actually a lot more than that because of all the prep time and everything else, and then case gauging, probably a couple hundred hours a year.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, sweetheart, how much is my time worth? I can just get this and I can press a button and I can load 2,500 rounds an hour. And that saves me, 1.5 times my time.
Uh-huh.
And she was like, okay, that's not going to work, but I'll let you get it anyway.
You're like, but more time with you, my love.
Yeah. And then now with the big one that's coming, I'm like, honey, I'll have even more time. And she's like, well, you should just have someone else load it because now you've had all the time. And I'm like, oh.
Oh, yeah, but I don't know. I think that's one of the things that I feel like comp shooters really like loading their own.
I do.
Yeah, because they're the ones shooting it in competition, and there's nobody to blame but yourself if it's not done exactly the way you want it.
That's the only reason. So if I didn't know my buddy Nick Amescu, who loaded my rounds for this season already, I brought him enough rounds and he has a big commercial press like I'm getting, right?
Right.
But he is the only person that I would trust to load my ammo for my big major matches, right? Because not only do I have, it costs me anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 all said and done by the time I go shoot this match, between travel, lodging, match fees, food, rental car. It's a lot of money. So if I show up and my stuff doesn't work, so I trust him, but that's it. So, I don't want to have to blame anyone for my issue, So it was a little nerve-wracking.
When you started reloading, did you have somebody teach you? Did you teach yourself?
I went to the School of Hard Knocks for reloading. My first press was my 1050.
Wow.
Yeah.
Way to jump in with both feet.
Oh yeah, just dive headfirst into the shallow end.
Wow.
I hit my head right away. There was a guy where I lived who was selling a used one, and it was slightly used. I knew the guy. I knew how long he'd had the press. But he didn't want it. His wife said it took up too much space, blah, blah, blah. He never used it, stopped shooting, got into cars. I bought it for him for dirt cheap. And I had a buddy come help me set it up originally and halfway explain to me how to troubleshoot some things, and then just YouTubed the rest and failed miserably. I had what I called my bucket of failure, which was all the rounds that I screwed up. And I just let them sit there for like a year. And it was a 5-gallon bucket that was almost full of all just screw ups.
Oh my gosh.
And
did you pull the bullets from those and reuse them, or?
Eventually.
Yeah.
Eventually. It took me 3.5 hours to pull all those bullets. If that tells you how many bullets were there.
Oh my gosh.
And
that is okay. I love reloading, but I will say that is one task I do not like, is pulling bullets. I hate doing that. That's the thing that my husband has to do that. I just can't. I hate
the most annoying.
It really is. I hate the sound. And every time I hit it, it doesn't happen the first time.
Yeah. You got to hit it 2 or 3 times.
Yes. And it's just like, I'd rather just throw it away, toss it. And my husband, he's the patient one, and he's got more discipline than me, we'll just say. And so he's like, no. And usually he hits it and gets it out on the first try, which is also embarrassing for me. But, he is bigger and stronger. So I don't know. I won't deprive him of that, I guess. But yeah, that's just my least favorite. If anybody asked me to
pulling bullets is the worst. And and I got to a point where I have a lot of bullets that I still need to pull. I had a big before my press went down.
Oh, no.
I had my I reloaded my garage,
Mhm.
and I have a dehumidifier in there and everything else to try to help with the humidity. Well, something happened, and I was loading minor and wasn't paying attention and just going. I'll tell you what I was doing. I was watching a movie on my phone while loading because I have I have an automated press, so I'm just kind of
Sure.
glancing up, make sure everything's going. I got all the sensors. It'll stop itself if something goes wrong.
Sure, yeah.
Well, I got so just lost. I forgot to keep my powder measure full. And
Oops.
what I didn't realize is that it started having a film, like a dark film, to where you couldn't
Oh,
see the powder.
yes.
So
You didn't keep your glass cleaned out
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
cleaned it?
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
But I had left the powder in there for a while because usually when I'm not, I reload. I have a reloading party where I reload like 15,000 rounds in a night,
Right.
and then I empty everything out, clean
Right.
everything, and leave it.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't do that. I loaded like a couple thousand rounds, left
Mhm.
the powder in there, and then over
Yep.
time it
Yep.
just.
Yep.
So I had a run of about 350 rounds
Oh.
that had no powder, but a primer and a bullet.
So much for those primers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I had to pull the bullet, and
Yeah.
then all I did was take my priming system, my prime loading system out in all my first couple stages, and
Mhm.
my powder drop and everything. I took everything out,
Oh my
and
gosh.
then just I left everything. I took basically primer forward out, and then
Yeah.
had to load them up in my case gate and my case feeder, and had to
Mhm.
run them through those stations, and then they got to powder, dropped, went, and then charged all over. But that took me hours.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh.
And I've still got like another 200 left.
So see, even though you aren't reloading, you still have something to keep you busy.
Oh, I've still got some pain in there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, Trevor, I don't know. Is there anything else that you want to tell everybody tonight before we sign off?
Just get out there and do it. Just
Yeah.
if you're thinking about doing any type of competitive shooting of any sort, just get out there and do it. Or if you're thinking about doing anything, and you're
Yeah.
nervous, just go do it.
Sure.
You never. I always tell people, you will always regret the decision you've never made.
Yeah. That's very true.
Uh,
Life is too
so,
short
oh
and
yeah, yeah,
unpredictable, and you might as well live it to the fullest.
yeah. Don't be afraid of failure. Failure breeds greatness.
Yep.
And then go follow all my social media and my Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. It's all
You don't
banging
make
under.
any money on TikTok, but
No, no, no. I
you
stopped
might as
making
well
money on
follow it.
TikTok. But banging underscore brass on all the social media sites, and then the Banger Brass podcast.
Yes.
It doesn't suck for the most part.
It doesn't suck. No.
Yeah.
No. I'm typing it in here just so everybody can see banging underscore brass. Okay.
Yep.
Make sure that's how you'll find it on everything. That's how I found it. So yep. You know, Trevor, you are a delight. We'll have to have you on again.
Oh, I'd
And
love to.
I hope that your next season is just gonna be top notch. I know that you have some aspirations yet that
Yep.
you still want to meet. And so I think we'll all be cheering you on. Now you are definitely a friend of the channel. So, we're all going to be cheering you on and watching you. So we really appreciate the time that you've spent with us. And, feel free to pop in anytime you want to say hello. So,
Oh, absolutely. I definitely have to
um,
come back. Thank you so
yeah,
much. This has been
no,
so fun.
thank you. Well, yeah, everybody make sure you go, first of all, click the like button on this chat or this live, and make sure if you haven't subscribed already on Jenny J1911, do that. And I'm trying to think. I think that's really it. So, yeah, I hope everybody has a great rest of their week. Thank you all for tuning in. Trevor, if you want to hang around, I'm going to sign off with everybody. And I look forward to talking to you all again soon. Good night.